But we'll start with that record-breaking night, I should say, in New York, as Novak Djokovic lifted his 24th Grand Slam singles title. No man or woman has now won more slams than Djokovic, who wakes up today back as the men's world #1. The records just continue to tumble so much, in fact. There's not many left for Djokovic to break now. And it does beg the question, has the so-called GOAT debate really been put to bed once and for all? I'm joined by Britain's former Davis Cup winner, Dom Inglot. I suppose, Dom, we'll cut to the quick straight away. Can we unambiguously say now that this man, Novak Djokovic, is the greatest of them all?
I think it's tough to, really argue any differently. He's won the most Grand Slams, or joint most Grand Slams with Margaret Court. He's got the most Masters Series events. I mean, he's just dominating on a different level. And I know a lot of people will love Federer, they'll love Nadal, but I think he is it.
Yeah, hard to argue, it really is. So how impressed were you with him last night? We'll get on to how good his figures are across his career, but specifically last night, some of our viewers may well have been tucked up in bed.
Yeah, he's exceptional. I mean, he started the match so strong, really came out firing, very easy first set. The second set is where it all started really kicking off. And there we just see that half volley that you're showing right now. That came at a break point at 3-4. That would have been a massive game-changing moment. He saved the set point as well. I mean, he looked like his, game was up because he was so tired in the second set, but he comes through, he always finds a way. And he's just got that winner's mentality, that fighter's mentality that he never goes away, and he's just exceptional.
He is absolutely exceptional. And what we've done is we've drawn up this. This is a seemingly never-ending list of amazing statistics that Novak Djokovic now holds. How many of those trophies has he had in his career over just this pure era of dominance that he's had? 24 Grand Slams. Which of these stands out the most to you?
I mean, the most weeks at world #1, 390. I think tournaments, when you look at tournaments sometimes, you've just got to perform over the course of 1 week if it's a Masters Series, 2 weeks if it's a Grand Slam. But to be world #1, you need consistency day in, day out, week in, week out, year in, year out. And that's what he's been doing. It's actually exceptional. And the funny thing is, some of the players, they get these little sort of insignias on their bags of all the titles he's won from the Masters.
He'd need a big bag.
He'd need a big... I think he's going to run out of space.
He'll have to have a traveller's rucksack on.
Exactly.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the one that jumps out at me, and I know we're focusing on the hard courts of the US Open, and he's a genius on the courts at the Australian Open, but Wimbledon title 7, he's just one short of Roger Federer. He wasn't particularly good at grass at the start of his career, so that's one that I find really intriguing. But right down the bottom, you see that winning record against Federer and Nadal. So this is combined figures of his results against those other two that would compete with him for the men's GOAT, at least. And he's come out on top.
Yeah, you have to if you're going to win that many Grand Slams. And he's faced them so many times in the semis, in the finals of these Masters Series, and especially the Grand Slams. And he's come up, as you said, on top. But really, we could look at any of these. The Australian Open titles, 10 over there. It's just a domination. And, he's still got more. That's the thing about it. That's what's scary. We haven't seen the end of him yet.
No, we certainly haven't. 36 years young. Last night chalked off another record as well. He went past Ken Rosewall as the oldest winner of the US Open at 36. He says he shows no sign of wanting to slow down, which is frightening for the rest of the field. This is the statistic for most Grand Slam titles, and this is one that for years we've been talking about Serena Williams trying to match. Looks like that's not going to happen now, but Djokovic has matched Margaret Court for Grand Slam wins in the Open era. How far do you think he can go?
I think he can definitely get one or two more. Again, we saw the Australian Opens. He's just dominant there. Everyone knows when you go to Australia, it's Djoko, tough to look past him. So he could easily look at one there. French Open is going to be tough. We're going to see Alcaraz really producing the goods, and all these players keep coming. The one thing I would say is that we did see levels of fatigue creeping into his match yesterday in that second set. Someone like Medvedev can really wear him down by making loads and loads of balls. So in the heat of Australia, on the slow courts of Roland Garros, is that going to become more and more of a problem for him? Potentially, but I still think he could maybe notch up one or two.
Yeah, the eye test would tell me that Roger Federer has more natural ability. When Rafa Nadal was so young, it looked like he would be the preeminent one to rival Federer as a future GOAT or anything like that. But is Djokovic's consistency over the years evidence that hard work beats natural talent?
I have to say, every single one of those guys is hard-working. I mean, they are maybe not showing it sometimes on the courts, even on the practice courts of these tournaments, but I've heard all the stories about what's going on behind the scenes, and these guys are putting in the hard yards. Djokovic, I mean, obviously, his physical capabilities, the work he puts in to make sure that he's limber, he's loose, he looks like he could go on forever. He's Mr. Elastic. That is a talent in itself, and yes, maybe he hasn't got the kind of the strokes that we see from a Federer that is so, eye-catching, but he is just as talented, and it's the mentality as well that goes a long way.
So Rafa Nadal is still not finished. He's going to play his final season next season. And this stat is quite pertinent in this one, because if you look at the percentage of matches won at Grand Slams, the two of them are top of the pops on 88%. If Nadal comes in fully fit next season, that might slightly change. You mentioned you think Djokovic has got a couple in the tank. How do you think they'll ultimately end up on that statistic?
Well, I think if Rafa's fully fit for French Open, I mean, he's going to be
targeting
a strong favourite. Yeah, absolutely. I think on the hard courts, the difficulty is with his knees, his feet. He's had so many difficulties and injuries there. It might be too much for him, expecting so much on the hard courts. Then again, you never know. He's had the time now to rest, to recuperate, get fit again. But at the end of the day, again, I think there's almost too many young guys as well coming through. We see Zverev, we see Alcaraz, Medvedev again, people like Rune, they're all so dangerous. And can they cause an upset? No doubt.
So those names that you've mentioned there, the young bucks that are coming through, do they match the calibre of opponent that, say, Federer and Nadal would have played in their peak years?
I think so. I think so on a one-off occasion. I think that what they are struggling to do is to replicate that match-in, match-out, tournament after tournament. We see them hit the highs, but then suddenly a week or two, then maybe we're not seeing them so much. Novak Djokovic, Nadal, even Serena and Roger, they were there every single week. They just were so resilient. And that's what's incredible about them, is the ability to do that for years and years as well. So on a one-off, 100%, Alex Zverev can beat anybody. He's that good. And Alcaraz, we've obviously seen he has beat them all. So it's just a question of the maturity that they'll face, that they have to kind of bring out of themselves to be able to do that on a more often and on a more regular basis. Yeah,
you mentioned earlier that Djokovic, you think, will at least go on and win one, maybe two more Grand Slams. We'll therefore see this again. He's got the number 24 emblazoned on his chest. Is his greatest foe, as we move forward, time, wear and tear to his body?
I think so. I think he's going to have to be really strategic about the tournaments he plays. We saw this year that he didn't go to Canada to play one of the Masters Series. He wants to preserve his fitness levels. He can't go out there and play 24 weeks of the year. It's just too much. So we saw very much like that Serena at the very end of her career. She was just only almost prioritising Grand Slams, and we'll probably see that more and more from Djokovic.
So enjoy him while he's still at the very peak of the game and playing regularly as well. I can't let you go, Dom, without asking you for your favourite moments. We've really enjoyed the US Open, back live on Sky Sports. I'm going to ask you for three. So give us your favourite of your third favourite.
Third favourite. OK, I'll start with, I really love when he played Ben Shelton. He did the old phone down on him, after Shelton had did it in Tiafoe's match. Sometimes you're going to show that kind of stuff. You've got to be able to back it up. And, Djokovic, he says, listen, you're not having me on today, so phone down.
See you later, alligator. And to be fair to Ben Shelton, he took it well, didn't he? He said, imitation is the best form of flattery. Favourite moment number two?
I actually got to say I really loved when Coco Gauff, in her speech afterwards, she talked about people putting water on her flames, but instead they were pouring gas on there. I just thought that really showed her maturity. Now she's saying that she's burning bright. I just love that story, the way she said it. And it just goes to show that it's such a big moment for her career. And I think it's just going to be the blossoming start of a really, really exceptional career. OK,
so your third favourite was ultimately the men's champion. Your second was the women's champion. What's your favourite moment of the last 2 weeks at Flushing Meadows?
And I think this time I'm going to look at a shot or actually a point, and it's Alcaraz versus Evans. I mean, that rally that they produced there, I think Evans thought he'd won that point about 3 times. And Alcaraz, I mean, the guy is an absolute beast. He's running side to side, covering so much court. Evans has probably thought he's done enough there, let alone on a volley. And then, that is incredible.
And Evans' face when it cuts to it, if we get to see it.
Well, Evans threw his racket because he literally, his face there is saying, I have no idea what more I can do.
I can't do anything against this guy. He's like a tennis computer. Brilliant. Well, Dom, thank you for all of your reflections on a brilliant champion, a brilliant 2 weeks, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Cheers, thank you.